Acknowledge those that are tuning in from home. Still so rowdy. What is up, you guys? Lay down. I feel like as long as you're sitting up, you're gonna keep talking to each other, right? So I think if we lay our heads down, we close our eyes. You remember in kindergarten when the teacher used to say, "Put your head down on the desk," right? All right, so we're gonna lay down with the intention of rest. Like whatever has been going on all morning, whatever is happening right now, whatever conversations you've been in, turn your attention inward. Try to be within the space of your own mat. See if you can just feel yourself settle. Know that as you settle, the whole room begins to settle. We are not separate from each other. We are one with. And when we come into a container like this, into one space, we share the energy. Each and every one of us contributes to the experience of the whole. And so we check in and we see, do I have the tools to help myself settle down? Sometimes we just lay and wait for instruction. But the next time you get all up in a whirlwind of energy in life, when something triggers you, I'm not going to be there to talk you down, you know? Maybe you hold on to my voice in your head somehow. But I would prefer to know that you can rely on your own voice, on your own breath, on the stillness of your body. And know that you are cultivating tools that will serve you in so many situations beyond being in this room. And so stillness is one of our really important principles. Deep relaxation, time, and breath. We are going to take our time moving from one shape to another. And even as we get into each shape, we're going to stay probably longer than you want to. And so we have to start to cultivate that relationship with time and stretch our moments. I feel like if yoga has given me a superpower, it would be that I'm a time bender. I have learned to live into the moments, to stretch time, and try to experience each one a little more fully. There is a notable difference in my life when I'm present and when I'm not. When I'm not, time seems to fly by. And so part of what we're doing in here today is really just trying to capture some time. Deep relaxation is a skill. It takes practice. It is not something that we should or could be maybe taking for granted, right? Have you ever planned a trip and gotten all ready and packed and shopping and organizing and getting everything, and then you get on your vacation and you realize 2 days in, you're like, oh, I'm actually relaxed. And then in a couple of days, you got to come home, right? Imagine if you had skills, if the moment you got in the car to go to the airport, you were already on vacation. If that was a choice. Imagine if every night when you got into bed, you could call upon that deep relaxation and not have to spend hours winding down before you could rest fully. And one of the most magnificent tools that we have to pass the time and to cultivate this relaxation is our breath. So what I'll ask of you while we're in this practice is that you pay attention to the quality of your breathing. You treat the breath as if you are gifting it to your body. We draw in and we savor the inhalation, filling up all of the spaces, letting the muscles and the skin and the body and the cavities expand on that inhalation, and then opening the mouth and just freely letting go on the exhalation. And so even though we're laying here still for a long time, we can stretch and expand the breath. Feel the belly moving. Feel your back against the mat. Feel the chest rise and expand. You might even feel the shoulder blades expand. There is a three-dimensional quality. We don't just breathe in the front, but we breathe in the back and on the sides, and there's an expansion up and down. And so as we begin to change the shape and the form, that breath is going to be constant. Go ahead and bend your knees. Let's put the soles of our feet onto the mat. You might notice a subtle change. Maybe some of you are starting to feel some discomfort in the lower back from laying flat, or I don't know, maybe it just feels good to bend your knees. But changing the position of the pelvis is a subtle thing, but it can make a really big difference in terms of the sensations. We've just softened the psoas. And this also makes it a little bit easier to breathe because there's a little less tension at the bottom of the rib cage. So see if you can just feel for the widening of the bottom of the ribs as you inhale. We'll stay with that for just a moment. And then go ahead and lift your right leg and draw the right knee in toward the belly. I think it would be nice to use your right hand to hold on to the right knee and let your left arm just rest on the ground. doesn't get more simple than this. And yet, if we really look at what's happening here, it's quite profound. When we squeeze the right knee to the belly, and the leg should be pretty close to the body without overworking your right arm, that deep crease in the right hip changes our ability to have the energy flow and the circulation in the right hip. There's a huge artery there. And so changing the flow, it's like bending a hose, changing the flow of our circulation is playing with the inner body experience. And that little bit of pressure from squeezing the leg to the body is putting pressure in the ascending colon, the liver, the kidney. If you pull the belly button into the spine just a little bit, you might elongate the QL, which is right along that lumbar curve. You might be able to flatten your back. So sometimes when we relax, the belly kind of falls out and forward, and it makes the lower back lift away from the ground. But if you just gently pull in the lower belly, you might feel a little bit of a release in the lower back. Anybody feel that? Can you play with that? Yeah. And so every moment that we spend in the body in this pace and this state of being, I want you to open your curiosity, remembering that sensation is information. And all the things that you're feeling are helping you to change your relationship with your body, to learn a little more about your anatomy, the mechanics. It's a lot easier to wrap our heads around the physical work that's happening, but there is also energetic work. That's a different anatomy. And the whole time that we're in the stillness, relaxing, noticing, we're also breathing. I imagine that already your breath has shifted into a different state than it was when you came in. A quality that is more intentional. Let's see if we can just stay with that. If you would, just take one more, like a really, really long, slow, deep breath in. And on the exhalation, let go of the right knee and extend the right leg all the way back down the mat. Let the left one go too. Tell me if one leg feels different than the other. Yeah. So a lot of what happens in here is really subtle. I think that's why I love it so much. And if we weren't in the stillness and we didn't take our time, we would miss it. So just be witness. Allow the body to release and let go. Go ahead, Dina, put the other leg down too. Left leg. Yeah. Nice. And so, of course, like with every yoga practice, we do our best to do everything equally on both sides. So we're going to soften our knees, lift our legs, and place the soles of the feet back on the mat. That's conscious resting pose. And then the left knee draws into the belly. And the left hand kind of holds on to the left knee because we're trying to create a deep crease in the front of the hip, trying to draw the leg toward the body. Can you feel your leg coming toward your ribs, toward your chest? Sometimes my leg likes to go wide because I have more flexibility there. But in this particular pose, I want you to really hug the leg toward the torso. And do it with that Goldilocks theory, right? Not too much, not too little, but just right. So if you're overworking, you have white knuckles on your left hand and your bicep starts to fatigue. If you don't do it enough, your leg starts to feel like it's holding itself. And so you find that place where the energy matches. And I promise you that is a perfect example of where yoga lives. Where the relationship between your leg and your hand meet equally. So it doesn't really feel like one is doing anything different than the other. There's a merging and a union. That is a simple example of your yoga. And then we settle in for our time. We check in with that breath. And the challenges are many. Doesn't seem like the pose itself is that hard, but the distractions in the mind, they can come right through just like watching a movie. And the mind is seductive. It can sweep you right out of the present moment. How many of us have already time traveled? Yep. Has anybody gone to the past or ahead to the future, even just for a second, and caught yourself? I think you're lying if you're not admitting it. Like, maybe not. I don't mean to call anyone a liar, but I mean, even here as the teacher, as I'm guiding and I've been like speaking almost consistently for 20 minutes, right? I know my mind has already played with me. It takes discipline to come back. And that discipline pays off in terms of having that relationship with time. Continuously focusing on being present. So, as simple as our work seems, it is multifaceted. It's physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. Just pulling one knee to the belly. A whole world exists within the time and shape of this pose. See if you can expand or enhance your breath. And we'll take one more together. Long, slow, deep breath in. And on the exhalation, let go of your left leg and just place the left foot back down. Slide it all the way out. Just releasing that hose in the crease of the hip. Right one goes down too, and relax. And just feel it. It's interesting how things dissipate. And that is the intelligence of the body finding its way back to balance. even from the most subtle. So once again, we'll bend our knees and put the soles of our feet down. This time I'd like you to cross the right knee over the left knee. So no space between the legs. Ankle is not on the knee, but knee to knee. So it's literally crossing them kind of tight together. And then this time you're going to lift the left leg off the ground and pull that right knee into the belly. You can grab the left one with your hands and hug it in a little bit. And I know sometimes reaching for the back of the left leg is a long reach. If you have a long torso, if you have long legs, if you have short arms, you know, it's not always so easy. So I'm going to come around with a few straps. If anybody would like a strap, raise your hand. Okay, we'll come in. So you got to lift that leg up. Yeah, come in. Here you go. Anyone else? It might make you more happy. And then I think you should. Right? It's just a little easier. And you don't have to hug so tight, right? Just to keep them in place. I'm also gonna. We want to find the ease. So at home, if a strap would be helpful, of course, feel free to grab one, or even stacking some blocks underneath your feet. You don't want to hold your legs, but I think you all look pretty comfortable. And again, the sensation is a little different. Can you feel the subtle change? Hugging the left one in increases the amount of stretch you're getting on the right one. So that right knee is pointing right into the midline. You're bringing the right knee towards center and squeezing it in just a little further. You're welcome. And not too much, not too little, just right. Yes. You're welcome. Now, as you're squeezing in, just before we decide to come out, what would happen if you lean a little bit to the left or to the right? We know that when we pull both knees to the belly and we rock, we create a massaging sensation, right? So you get the same thing here. And if you find something good, lean into it and stay. So it can be constant movement and rocking, but it could also just be leaning into one side. I know when I lean to one side or the other, there's a little bit more sensation when I come off of the sacrum and lean into one side. And so sometimes I like to stay there and just lean in, creating that little bit of pressure. And when we create a little pressure over a long period of time, we create really beautiful shifts in the tissue. So let's take 3 more breaths here. Focus in on the quality of the breathing. And our release is going to be a little bit different this time. We're going to rock back to center. Let go of the hold on the legs, but extend the legs straight up and uncross them. Soften the knees a little bit. Separate your feet a little bit and try to relax the legs, just floating the feet. And just give that a couple of breaths. Relax the tailbone onto the mat so you're not trying to lift your pelvis. Lower back settles. 2 more breaths here. Long, slow, deep breath in. Complete breath out. Let's do that one more time. And with the exhalation, soften the knees, bend those knees, and then place the soles of your feet down. Let each one of your legs slide straight down the mat. Yeah, I love that sound. That means you felt something. It's interesting. And sometimes it's a sometimes it's a right? You okay? Sometimes it's a cramp. Sensation is information. What is your body telling you? How good a listener are you? How respectful? And how fluent are you in the language of sensation? It's amazing to me that nobody ever teaches us how to speak this language. And I know so many people that have gone through their whole life never really paying attention to their body. And then there's others like me that are completely obsessed with the sensations and try to understand and know every single thing. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this room, right? But I believe that this work is radical self-care. It's important to be in deep relationship with yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I mean, for all we know, we might only get one time on this earth, one lifetime. How much can we learn? How much can we enjoy? How many moments will we actually capture? And how many will we waste? So we bend our knees, and then we cross our left one over our right one. And it might seem like, wow, if I want to live fully, I don't know if I want to waste all this time just laying still here with my legs crossed. But there is a world of information and insight that is gained from the stillness. I promise you. You can lift your legs and hug them into the body, and you start to create an experience for yourself. You look at your ability to hold your focus on your breathing, and we tune in to listen and feel for the sensations. And one side doesn't always feel like the other. You got to figure out how much is enough. I see some really good breathing and focus going on. One breath at a time, one moment at a time, tuning in, maybe curiously leaning a little bit to one side or the other. You might find that you prefer center. You might find that you like leaning a little bit into one side or the other. There may be something lurking under the surface that you can help to release by just leaning in just a little bit. That longer hold will create a charge. And then when we come off of that and release the legs, there is, of course, the release of the charge. So we re-regulate our energy body just as much as we release physical tension from the body. And we just do it one breath at a time. Let's take 3 more breaths. As you complete breath number 3, you can let go of your hands, extend both legs up. We'll uncross them, separate them a little bit. A softness in the knees, so it feels like the head of the femur is kind of sinking into the hip socket. We're not trying to make the legs long and touch the ceiling, but we actually want the legs to sink into the hips a bit. And then we relax a little more in the hip flexor, not too wide. The leg bones are straight over the hips. And we try not to work it too hard. Let the tailbone down. Yeah. Just keep your feet floating. I know that's no joke. Sometimes that's work. We're reversing circulation flow here. We're letting everything drain, the fluids from the feet, the legs, into the torso. Sometimes blood pools in the limbs, and so here's an opportunity to drain a little bit and then to let it flow back in. And that whoosh, that circulation flow is really, really lovely. So slowly put your feet down and then slide your legs out and see if you can feel it. Let the legs go. See if you can feel the warmth like come back into the legs, down into the feet. Can you feel it? Yeah. So again, the subtleties of the practice. Let's return to conscious resting pose. That's bending the knees and planting the soles of your feet. And then this time we're going to actually cross right ankle to left knee, which is what some of you wanted to do the first round. So right ankle to left knee. And we'll keep that shape, but I want you to tip it over to the left. Just let the whole thing kind of fall to the left. The left leg should relax to the floor. The right knee pointing up toward the ceiling, kind of. The right foot eventually makes it to the floor or a prop. You can put it on a block, on a bolster, on a blanket if you're having a hard time getting all the way around. And so we have a hip opener here. It's subtle. And we also have a rotation for the lower spine. So there's a big movement in the pelvis. So let's stay here for just a couple of breaths. The shoulders are flat, but not the back. You're in a spinal twist, so the right hip is lifted. Yeah. So Dina, keep the right foot flat and the knee up toward the ceiling. Your left leg is fine. Let the left leg go. No, your right leg is on the left side, so don't confuse them. The left leg is the one falling to the floor. And then the right foot goes flat, and the right knee points up to the ceiling. Yeah. And then Shayna, open your arms so your chest is open and so there's not a full twist there. The arms are relaxing. There we go. Now everyone can ground the right foot a little bit and just encourage, don't press with your arms or your hands, but just encourage from the outside of the right hip, encourage that right knee to move a little away from you. And just open up that hip just a little bit more. Yeah. The knee moves toward the front of the room. If you need something under your head, Robin. So I'm going to put a blanket here instead because I think the bolster is too high. Yeah. You're welcome. No, don't move your foot. You ground the foot and you just, yeah. Do you feel that different in your hip? Okay. Now, just to change the experience of the breath a little bit here, let's take both arms up over the head so the rib cage starts to spread open. And the diaphragm, because we are sort of lengthening the waist, we have a slightly different experience of the tone of the diaphragm. So I want you to focus a little bit more on breathing into the musculature around the rib cage, like spreading the intercostal muscles and moving the diaphragm deliberately. So that means belly breath, rib breathing. So you're giving your lungs a lot of room to expand here. Arms are up over the shoulders. It's okay. It's very common. Some people would take it personally. I feel like it's a huge compliment that you feel so relaxed here and so comfortable that you could drift off. So we're breathing like we mean it. We are holding for time. We appear to be in stillness, even though there's a whole world moving inside of us. Every cell, every heartbeat, every bit of circulation. And the truth is, we're floating around in space on a spinning rock. So there is no real stillness. We do the best we can, right? Okay. Please keep your right ankle on your left knee, but tip it back up to center. Bring your arms back down by your sides and then lift your left leg. Reach your right hand through the hole in your legs and hug the left leg into the body. Reclining pigeon. And the strap can be used around the back of the left leg. If you wish you had one, just tell me. Now the whole thing is hugging in. And the strap just goes around the left leg, goes right through the hole, and you just kind of hug it in. Try to relax your left knee, relax your left foot. Let it drop so there's not so much hamstring pull. Yeah. What do you need? Just use this. This is sturdier. To the side for a second. I'm just going to put this up here. Is that a little better? It's a big stretch though. So we follow the sensations. We do our best to use our breath to soften them. You can lean a little from one side to the other. Shayna, you can relax that left leg. No, not all the way down. Just, you're holding it, but just don't have the foot so high in the air. Grab a hold of the back of your leg, hug it in, but bend your left knee. Yeah, let it relax. There you go. And so if you lean to one side or the other, the sensations will most likely change. And if you find something good, you stay. You find something not so good, you go away, right? It's got to be that hurt so good feeling. Anything hot, burning, tingling, that's probably not good. Anything dull or achy or like tight. It's the difference between nerve and compression or tension. And we want to work with our tension. So just give that a few more breaths. Props underneath the left foot is a great way to release tension from your shoulders. So you don't have to hold it up yourself, but you could actually put your foot on something. Yeah, leave it. Right? We just don't have to work that hard. This practice is not about suffering in silence. I say it all the time. It's actually about embracing some ease, which is so culturally unacceptable, right? But really, truly, like, it's so important. Complete one more full cycle of breath, like all the way in, all the way in, all the way in. Open mouth, exhale it out. And the first thing you do is just release the hold of your hands. Feel your arms go to the floor and rest. Yeah, like, like what? Who knew they were even working that hard? And then gently put the left foot down. Feel that, And then we'll straighten the right leg up, straight into the air. And then you can lower the right leg all the way down. Once you place it onto the ground, stretch the left one out long and just give yourself a moment. Yeah, make sounds. Express yourself fully. No one is quieted. Like, remember that Dirty Dancing? Nobody puts baby in the corner. Yeah. Sometimes the tension is released in sensation, and sometimes it's actually released in sound. Like, literally, sometimes it is that sigh, that big exhale that tells the body it's okay to let go of whatever it's been unnecessarily holding. Our breath is an indicator of what we're holding. And it is an incredible tool for releasing that unnecessary holding. You know, when you've been in a stressful situation and then it's over and all of a sudden you just find yourself exhaling, you know, that, the end of the day, plop on the couch, sigh. We do it all the time. We just don't realize how valuable it is. Something upsets us and we go, ugh, you know? We are expressive beings full of language and sound. We should embrace, or let's embrace, all the parts of ourselves. Go ahead and bend your knees. Left ankle to the right knee as we start to explore the other side. And it's just ankle to knee, and then you're going to tip it to the right. Of course, the left foot can go to the floor or onto a block. The bottom leg, which is your right leg, drops out wide to the side. So Dina, let that right leg go, the bottom leg. Just let it fall to the floor, out to the side. No, not straight. Just, yeah, just, you're supposed to be ankle to knee. Start over. And then when you tip to the side, yeah, there you go. So much better. Of course, I got you. And this is somewhat complex, so we're just going to let it be for a second. We're in rotation, external rotation, pelvic tilt, adduction. There's like a lot of stuff going on. Abduction. So we take a moment and we just feel. We come back to the quality of our breath. Is that a little better? Now I'm sure you can feel your left foot on the ground or on a prop. So we're going to ground that. We're going to keep that where it is. This is up. Yeah. We're going to keep that left foot flat, but then we're going to gently push the left knee away from you toward the front of the room. It doesn't take much to feel a change in the hip. It's not because your hand pushes it. It's because you actually are just trying to move your left leg a little bit. Drop this one to the floor. No. Just drop that to the floor. Yeah. And then push that away. Okay. Yeah, no, without your hands. Yep. The arms can be out like a T or all the way up over your head so that we can expand the rib cage and move into a deeper, more fuller breath, a good to be alive kind of breath. And as simple or complex as any one of the poses may seem, our work is the same. We abide in the stillness for an amount of time, a little longer than we usually want to. Cultivating that deep relaxation. And totally aware of the quality of the breath. The breath is your focal point. It's what keeps you in present time. And believe it or not, the navigation of the sensations of the body also keep you in present time. Whenever we are in any of our five senses, we are experiencing what's happening in the present moment. So even if you're lost in the music, your sense of hearing is hearing the music right now as it's playing. Our five senses are meant to orient us in the moment and help us to be aware of our surroundings. If ever you find that you have lost your presence in here or anywhere else for that matter, you come back to any one of your senses. You see what's in front of you. You feel the mat beneath you. You feel for the breath moving in your body, and you are right back with me here in this room, on your mat, in your own body, breathing. Now we're going to keep that left ankle on the right knee, and we're going to tip it back up to the center. Keeping that connection of ankle to knee, the right leg begins to lift. You'll reach through the hole in your legs. The left arm goes between the legs, and then we hug the back of the right leg into the body. When you're using a strap, stick the strap between the legs, right? And so you're just hugging that right leg in. If even using the strap or holding onto the right leg feels like too much, stack up some props underneath your right foot. And if you don't have them or they're not near you, just raise your hand and I will help you. And then we stay. I sometimes think about how hard it is to stay. I trained my little Oliver. I have a little Shih Tzu. His name's Oliver, and he is the yummiest little creature on the planet. But when he was little, I wanted him to have manners, right? So I taught him sit and stay, right? And I can put a treat right in front of his nose. I can put it on the floor in front of him. And if I tell him to wait, to stay, he will stay. I don't know, it feels like an eternity to me until he gets that okay. And then I say, okay. And he looks at me and he grabs the little treat and he's the happiest little thing, you know? But all of that time in between, that waiting, the discipline. We're so programmed for instant gratification, right? And sometimes the stay and the wait triggers our impatience. So what can we do in that time? What can we do in that little space in between to make these moments potent? And for me, it's breathe. It's just taking it all in my senses and noticing. What is arising? You okay, Brenda? Okay. We're coming into our last minute here. One full minute where we can just be. See if you can stay right here in this room, in this moment, in your work. We'll take one last breath. And then just first release your arms, let them down by your sides. Just say it. Ah. And then gently the right foot returns to the mat and just say it. Ah. We'll extend the left leg long, high in the air. Then maybe clear some of the props that might be around, and we're going to lower that left leg all the way down. And then let the right one come down to meet it. Just begin to take some inventory from the hip bones, like from that whole pelvic bowl, from your lower back down to your feet, and just feel. Hopefully there's been some tension release, there's been some energetic shift, some change in the spaciousness or the energy. Just take a moment to notice it. And I know that laying on our backs for a long period of time and doing the hip opening work can sometimes make the lower back feel tender. So we're going to come into a spinal twist before we complete the practice. So both knees to the belly. I think it's going to be a good time. It could actually be cause for celebration, right? Like draw the knees in, feel how yummy that is. And then take both legs over to the right. So we had a little bit of a tilt in the pelvis, but we haven't gone into a full spinal twist. So as the feet and knees go to the right, we open the chest and look out to the left. I often like a prop under the ankles or between the knees. There's lots of different ways to enhance this. Here, let's try. Pull the knees up just a little more, and then let's put. You're welcome. You don't want it? Okay. The bolster is nice from the ankles to the knees, just making space between the legs, loosening up the SI joint. So it all depends what you're feeling in your back. If you have anything that is curious for you and you're not sure what to do about it, just tell me and I will come over and I can help you place a prop. What do you need, Ruthie? Okay, so knees to belly. And then bring them over. Anything under there? How's that? Okay, good. And you know the work continues. Long, slow, deep breath. Bring your knees up a little. This way. Like, look at me. Knees this way a little bit. And then to separate your legs. Yeah, I am here to help. You're welcome. Soften where you can. Relaxing deeply into the moments. Watching the breath move in and out and up and down and side to side. All of the different directions of movement. We are constantly in a state of expansion and contraction. Let it amuse you for a moment. Now, because we've been in a state of relaxation and we're in holds for a long period of time, I want to be really careful about how we come out of this particular twist. So I'm going to ask you to recenter your head and then bring your arms back in, and please pull your left knee to your belly. That'll start a rounding of the lower back, which will allow you to stay in that rounded form as you roll to center and squeeze both knees in. Yeah, sometimes the pelvis needs to be pulled back into center. You can rock a little bit here, side to side. The rocking can be a massaging action. It should feel really nice. It shouldn't necessarily feel nice. It can feel nice. I don't assume anything on anyone anymore. And then eventually both of those legs are going to find their way over to the left side. Yep. And you can place your ankles up on a prop. You can put a bolster between your knees. You can just kind of soften there and just let it be simple and formless. And if you're not sure, if you've never really done anything with a prop before and you're curious, like if you're happy where you are, great. I'm happy you're happy, you know? And just make sure you check in and you know that you can soften. And while you're relaxing in this last pose, Lisa and I are going to come around with the cloths. It's a nice cool cloth. It'll be for your final resting pose. You're welcome. So if you hear us kind of wandering around, you don't have to be distracted. You know what's happening. You can stay in your work. You're welcome. Let's all go ahead and take a long, slow, deep breath in. Let out a little open mouth sigh. And the head returns to center. We'll pull that right knee into the belly, starting to feel a little roundness in the back, belly to the spine as you roll to center and draw that left knee in. One last moment for any kind of organic movement. And then our final surrender, our sacred rest. And you can take that cool cloth and cover your eyes. Start to let go a little bit in the legs and the arms. Feel for the natural curves of your spine and really just let yourself be in the stillness. One breath at a time, we begin to return to our presence, to the sensations and the sounds. Eventually, maybe we bring in some movement. You can stretch and move and breathe any way you like, and eventually, please come to a seated position. It'll feel good to sit up. You've been down a long time. The back body feels heavy usually when you come up. It's like the back of your head, right? And then just sit for a moment and everything settles. Our circulation re-regulates. All the sounds. All right. So hold your head up high. Acknowledge yourself in this moment for showing up and for doing the work. It's not easy to move slowly. It's not easy to be in the stillness. To really be present in the stillness can be confrontational. We meet our limitations physically, mentally, emotionally, right? We test our patience, our willingness to sit in it and stay, even when the treat is right there and your mouth's watering for it, right? Right? The discipline, the hold, the wait. And we were talking about it yesterday, Martha, how that's that space in between, that pause that starts to develop within us so that we respond thoughtfully rather than just react. It's that little space in between that we are developing with this yoga. And as always, I thank you. I thank you for trusting me to lead you. I thank you for your dedication to your own practice, your willingness to explore the inner world a little less than the outer world for just a little bit of time. It is truly a privilege and a pleasure every time to be with you. Let's close with the beautiful and sacred sound of Om. Hands together at the heart, deep breath. Om. Om Shanti 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 He. Om peace, peace, perfect peace. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. May the actions of my life and all of our lives somehow contribute to that happiness and that freedom for all, so that we may know a day where we all walk on this earth knowing peace, peace, perfect peace. Namaste.